Well, the recent unrest will have a long-lasting impact on many South Africans. That's the view of the Right to Know campaign. The organization says the instigators of the lawlessness need to be investigated. I'm joined now by Axolile Notywala from the Justice Coalition, which is, I believe you are part of the Right to Know campaign, Axolile. The statement couldn't be clearer. The instigators should be apprehended. Do you believe enough is being done to apprehend the instigators? But also, is it your belief that the instigators are easily identifiable and can be apprehended?
Thank you, Thulasizwe. Yes, we would like for the instigators to be arrested. And I think the call for us is to also say it's very difficult to understand and to believe what the security cluster was saying in their briefing, to say that they knew this was happening, but no one did anything about that. If they knew that was happening, then the instigators should have been arrested, because the role of especially the State Security Agency is to make sure that they look at threats and they stop threats against the safety of the country and the nation. That did not happen, and so it's very disturbing that hasn't happened. But we still believe that these are known, because we've seen messages from WhatsApp of these being orchestrated. We've seen people tweeting and orchestrating this violence, and we know, and we've seen in the media, people that have been orchestrating violence to say just that former President Jacob Zuma must be freed. So it's those people, even though the unrest has turned and it's no longer necessarily just about President Jacob Zuma, those instigators that started this must be arrested.
The fact that we're talking about words such as instigators, planners, and those who orchestrated suggests that, you know, we're dealing with something more than sporadic, opportunistic looting and, you know, people taking the advantage. There may be an element of that, but what is your sense of the characterization of what we are dealing with here?
Definitely, it's something much bigger. We've had protests in the country over a number of years. We've had people protesting, but we've never seen the deliberate targeting of specific economic zone, of specific national roads within the country, and as part of these protests. And it's also the deliberate use and the deliberate use of the vulnerabilities of poor people within the country, to say we know people are hungry, and therefore we're going to use that as a means to try and push our own agendas, and these agendas being those of the instigators, of those within the factions and factionalism of the ANC.
The Right to Know campaign also has a lot to say about part of the problem being the failure to implement the fixes that were identified that they are needed in the security services, the State Security Agency, the failure to act on some of the rogue elements and individuals that had been identified, for instance, in the work of the high-level review panel led by Sydney Mofamadi. Are we seeing a manifestation of the failures to act on some of those recommendations?
We are seeing those failures because these are issues that the Right to Know has been raising with the president since that report came out and those recommendations came out. These are issues that were raised since the beginning of 2019 to the president. We, together with Greenpeace Africa, the Right to Know also wrote to the president recently, most recently this year, to say you need to deal with state security agency because in the Commission of Inquiry, the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, came out that there were still rogue elements within state security that were also spying on civil society organizations such as the Right to Know and Greenpeace Africa. And we've seen the failure from the president because these organizations have written directly to the president. We've seen the failure from the Minister of State Security in dealing with this. But I think it's also important to note that what we're seeing now is that we're starting to see the distraction that has happened all over the years since I think President Jacob Zuma took over of state security, of policing, of the state security agents. We're seeing those failures are also as a result of that long-term distraction within the country.
All right, Axolile Notywala, thank you so much for your time and your inputs. In fact, I just want, as you say, that you've been flagging these issues. On the 10th of March 2019, the Right to Know campaign issued a statement calling for the implementation of the findings of that high-level review panel report by Sydney Mufamadi. There's a line there that is so, it's amazing in the way that it's manifesting now. It says in one paragraph, "We firmly believe that these rogue securocrats are a threat to our democracy and they must be dealt with accordingly." That line in 2019. Had there been enough action, I don't know where we would be today. Thank you so much for that. That is Axolile Notywala from the Social Justice Coalition, part of the Right to Know campaign, raising their concerns about the security services and as well as calling for action to be taken against the instigators of the looting that we have seen in the last week or so.